Hello friends, welcome to our channel Knowledge Amplifier. So today in this particular video, I am going to discuss one very interesting concept, especially if you are working in big data domain with S3 as data lake. Okay, like you just think one scenario, that is you are working in a particular pipeline where one part of the data is basically image, or maybe that can be video, or that can be audio, this kind of unstructured data, okay, or that can be a complete PDF file, right? And then what you did, basically you created a external Snowflake table pointing to that particular S3 external stage, okay, and you are showing the data in the Snowflake. Okay, now suppose someone from business team want to see that image or the video. Okay, they might not have AWS credential or permission. Then if you just simply share the S3 object URL for the video or the image or the audio, whatever, or the PDF, those persons who don't have AWS credential or permission from the business team, they can never access that, right? Only the developer team, who is basically having the AWS credential or permissions, they alone can access those S3 objects, because generally S3 objects are in private bucket. So private objects, if you try to extract using or try to explore using the URL, then obviously you need AWS credential or permission, right? But everyone might not have that. That time what you can do, you can share pre-signed URL to those persons who want to view the content, okay, and it is a temporary access, it is not a permanent access. The URL will be valid only for certain period of time. Okay, so now I hope you got the idea. That is what is pre-signed URL. That is a user who does not have AWS credential or permissions to access an S3 object can be granted temporary access by using a pre-signed URL. Okay, and a pre-signed URL is generated by whom? It is generated by such AWS user who basically have access using AWS credential or permission to that particular private S3 object. Okay, so they will generate the pre-signed URL and they will share that particular URL to the unauthorized user so that they can access that object temporarily. Okay, and the pre-signed URL can be entered in a browser or used by a program or HTML web page. Anywhere the unauthorized user can paste that and use that. Okay, and the credentials used by the pre-signed URL are those of the AWS user who generated the URL. Okay, so from an unauthorized user point of view, they need to just simply click on the URL. Okay, but some kind of authorization will be automatically coupled with that particular URL. Okay, and there whatever credentials will be used, that credential is nothing but belonging to that AWS user who have generated that URL. Okay, as simple as that, right? And a pre-signed URL remains valid for a limited period of time, which is specified when the URL is generated. Okay, so I will show you in the lab section. When you are generating the URL, that time you can mention for how much time you want to make the URL valid. Okay, the unauthorized user must have to use that particular URL within that span of time. After that, once the timing is over, if the unauthorized user try to access that pre-signed URL, it will show access denied, right? So let's see how we can access that. So for that, first I will go to AWS Management Console, and then here I will go to S3, and in S3 I will be creating a bucket and a folder structure first. Okay, so I will go to create bucket. Okay, demo YT PreSigned. Okay, and US is 2, fine. Okay, so here I will create the bucket. So this is my Snowflake account, which is also in US is 2. So I am perfectly fine to use a bucket which is in US is 2. Okay, and then here what I will do, I will go to that particular bucket and I will create a folder. Okay, so here unstructured data, something I can give, and then here I can create the folder. Okay, so once folder is created, inside that what we can do, we can upload some unstructured data. So for this experiment purpose, I am uploading simple images. Okay, so here I will take some image and then here I will upload this, right? Up to this, it is very simple. Now what do we need to do to access this S3 data? Obviously we need to create some. Okay, it is not yet completed. Now it is complete. So here see all the files are uploaded. Now to access this particular S3 objects, we need to create a external stage. Now external stage you can create either using AWS credentials, that is access key and secret key, or you can use IAM role based authorization. Okay, so I am going to use IAM based authorization, which is not that much secured, and Snowflake never support to use that, but this is just a POC. After this POC I'll be deleting that one, so no problem. So I'll be going to add user, and then here I'll be creating user who is having S3 access. Okay, demo PreSigned. Okay, I want to give access key secret key based permission. I will go to attach existing policy, and then here I'll search for S3 full access I will be giving, and then here I will create this particular user. Okay, now what we'll do, we'll go to Snowflake. Okay, so first we are dropping the database if exists, and then here we are creating the database, and then here we are using the database. So if I refresh this particular place, here you will see the ramu database is created with information schema and public schema. Information schema contain all the metadata, and public schema I can simply use to create any Snowflake object. Okay, so here what we are doing, create or replace stage. ramu.public.snowsname is the stage name, and then here we need to pass the URL. Okay, and then here we need to pass the credential, AWS key and secret key. So I will go to IAM, I will copy this particular one, AWS key I will be pasting, I will take the secret key, and I will be pasting that here, and in the URL we need to pass what is our external stage basically. That is, if I go to one object, here itself I will be getting this URL, I will be copying that, and I will be pasting that here. Okay, I no need to give the file name. Basically I will just go till folder structure, and then I will basically execute create stage. So it is created. Now if I execute ls stage or list stage, I will be getting all the files which is present in the external stage under that particular folder. Okay, so here you can see what it is giving, basically absolute file path of that S3 location. That is in S3 demo YT PreSigned is the bucket name, then unstructured data storer is the folder name, and under that defined files are stored. Okay, now to someone who don't have S3 access, if I simply share this particular S3 of complete path, they can never access the object, right? Because that is in private bucket. So we need to generate the PreSigned URL. Okay, so if you go to the Snowflake documentation, there is a function called get PreSigned URL, and it is used to generate PreSigned URL to a staged file using the stage name and the relative path as input. Okay, so if you see the syntax, it looks like this: select, then get PreSigned URL. Here first parameter we need to pass that is external stage alias name, and then here we need to pass the relative path. Okay, if you see this documentation here, it is asking the second argument should be relative file path, not absolute file path. Okay, point to be noted, right? And another one is the last parameter, which I already discussed while explaining theory, that is PreSigned URL is valid only for specific period of time. Then here you can mention for how much time you want to make this particular URL alive. Okay, that is here 3600 second we want to keep that alive. So this particular parameter is in second, right? So now what is the way we can use that get PreSigned URL function here? That is, we can basically simply call using this stage and the file path, but that path should be relative file path. But if you see here, this is what? This is absolute file path. So from absolute file path, first we need to get the relative file path. So for that also another Snowflake function is available, that is get relative path. So first you need to pass the stage name, and then you need to pass the second parameter as absolute file path. If you pass that and then apply select query on this, then it will be giving you the relative file path. So let's see how it works. So if I apply get relative file path, and then here I am giving the stage name, and then the second parameter I will be passing the complete file path. Okay, and then let's see, right? So see here we are getting only the relative file path, which is 1.png. So how it is generating, try to understand. Okay, so our stage is still unstructured data storer. Okay, and our absolute path is what? Our absolute path is in the unstructured data storer folder, it is 1.png, right? So this particular part, that is S3 then slash demo YT PreSigned and then unstructured data storer, this whole part is basically present in this particular alias name, which is basically external stage. Apart from that, what is the extra part where our file is stored? That is called relative file path. Okay, so relative file path is only 1.png, that is file name here. Okay, so here 1.png it is returning. Okay, now this particular one we can pass via get PreSigned URL function, because here it requires the second parameter as relative file path, right? So we can pass that one. Okay, so if you see get PreSigned URL, and then here what we are doing, we are passing the first parameter as the external stage name, and then using this particular get relative path, what we will try to do, basically we will try to extract the relative file path, and maybe suppose for 30 seconds only I want to keep this particular URL alive. Okay, so all things I am just simply copying and pasting from documentation, no rocket science. Okay, what is relative file path, what is absolute file path, how to use get PreSigned URL function, how to use get relative path function, all these are simply from documentation I have taken. Okay, so for 30 seconds I want to make that PreSigned URL alive, and so what all we can do, we can basically run this particular one. Okay, and see here it is generating one particular URL with us. Now this URL you can easily share to someone who don't have access to S3 directly using credential or role. Okay, what will happen, that is this particular URL is basically using the authentication of your stage, whatever you have used here, and that way it will be valid till 30 seconds. Okay, so if I just paste in a new tab, here you should be able to see that 1.png. okay, whatever we uploaded in the external stage, but already 30 seconds over. Now if I just try to hit again, then see here you will be getting request has expired. Okay, access denied. Why? Because in our this particular get PreSigned URL we have specified only for 30 seconds, right? So that's why after 30 seconds it is expiring. Let me show you for another example, 3.png. so suppose in this bucket here I want to generate PreSigned URL for 3.png. all I will do, I will basically run this particular one. Okay, and then here it will basically generate our PreSigned URL. I will copy this particular one, I can paste anywhere, I can share this particular URL to anyone, and they should be able to paste that particular one in Google Chrome or Microsoft Edge or any this kind of HTML viewer. They can able to see the document. Okay, that is basically our unstructured data, and this way you can share anything unstructured file like audio file, video file, image file, which whatever you are using in your pipeline, so that business team will be getting more insights who don't have access to AWS access key or secret key directly. Okay, so again 30 seconds over, if I run this again, here see access denied, request has expired. Okay, so this is how in Snowflake using simple SQL function you can generate PreSigned URL. I hope you got the concept, because concept is the power. In interview they will be asking you how to use PreSigned URL, or how to share some unstructured data to business team if they don't have direct access to S3 using AWS access key and secret key, and if the S3 bucket is not public. Okay, that time you should be able to explain this particular concept. Syntax anyway you can search from documentation, not a problem, but you should remember the concept, because same concept you can apply in Boto3, and using Boto3 in Python also you can generate this PreSigned URL, not at all a problem, right? But any place wherever you go, any programming language, whatever you choose, there the concept of PreSigned URL you should have a clear idea, right? I hope you understood this. All these codes I'll be providing in the description box or in the comment section. If you find this video helpful, then please like, share and comment, subscribe our channel if you have not subscribed till now, and don't forget to press the bell icon to get the notification of our latest videos. Thank you.